But we are going to begin in Vatican City. That's where we're going to take you to, where just hours ago, the Catholic Church held a historic funeral for Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI. The ceremony combined ancient and contemporary church rituals as they buried the former church leader. Benedict passed away nearly a week ago at 95 years old after his health declined due to his advanced age. He stunned Catholics in 2013 when he became the first pope to voluntarily resign in more than 600 years. His successor, Pope Francis, presided over the ceremony today and paid homage to the former pope. So for more on this, let's head over to Rome, where our foreign correspondent, Chris Livesay, is standing by. So, hey, Chris, obviously this has to be a unique ceremony. We haven't seen one pope preside over the funeral of another pope, I don't think ever. Can you talk a little bit about what the ceremony was like? I know Benedict wanted something simple, but is it ever simple when we're talking about the Vatican?
Yeah, and Marie, it's definitely the first time we've ever seen something like this on TV and in modern times. Technically, it's the second time in history, in 2,000 years of Catholic history, that a reigning pope has presided over the funeral of one of his predecessors. But that was more than 200 years ago. So this is definitely history that we have witnessed. Of course, there were some differences because Pope Francis was the reigning pope. He was alive. Pope Benedict was not a sitting pope when he died. So he didn't get all of the honors that a sitting pope would have received. There won't be that 9-day mourning period, for instance, that typically follows the death of a reigning pope. He wasn't wearing all of the vestments, like the pallium, for instance, that would signify his pontifical power while he was lying in state. So there were some subtle differences when it came to the ceremonial side of things. When it came to the visual side of things, you didn't see all of the heads of state that would normally descend upon Rome for the death of a sitting pope. There was no President Joe Biden here, just like there weren't presidents and kings and queens from elsewhere in the world. You had official delegations from Germany, which is where Pope Benedict was from, also from Italy, which is where the Vatican is. Beyond that, you only had a few voluntary heads of state who were actually here. So those are some of the main differences. But as you mentioned, the biggest one was that Pope Francis, a sitting pope, was presiding over the funeral of his predecessor.
And we know that Pope Francis had talked about seeking counsel from Pope Benedict while as they were both sort of there serving the church in different ways, though. So, of course, he's going to be remembered probably primarily for voluntarily leaving the role. But there was much more to him. Can you give us a sense of what else Pope Benedict will be known for?
Well, huge. It'll be hard to get past that legacy that he left behind of leaving the papacy before his death. Before then, there was this unwritten rule that the only way to leave the pontificate was to die. He's certainly opened that possibility up now for one of his successors. In fact, Pope Francis has spoken about the possibility of him stepping down if his own health or age ever gets in the way. And it's important to mention that Pope Francis is 86 years old. That's 1 year older than Pope Benedict was when he resigned. But of course, beyond that, Pope Benedict will be remembered for a number of things. I mean, he was considered to be a staunch conservative. He earned the nickname of God's Rottweiler for defending church orthodoxy. He was very conservative when it came to the place of women in the church, when it came to the status of gays and others in the LGBT community. But he was also rather radical. I mean, not just when it came to stepping down from the church, but when it came to things like, his policy on renewable energy. The Vatican became the first state in the world to be completely carbon neutral. It layered the rooftops around us with photovoltaic, solar panels. So he did a lot of innovative things. He opened up the church to the internet. He launched a Twitter account for the Vatican. All these things, however, will be overshadowed, of course, by his stepping down in 2013.
Yeah, indeed. Chris Livesay in Rome. Thank you very much, Chris.